Hey everybody, it's Jason just checking in to say hi, see how things are going, and also because I'm recording this on Tuesday, kind of later afternoon. We've just had our Unit 4 Week 4 meeting on the Tuesday, where we talked a little bit about course design, or at least got thinking about our final project for our hybrids workshop, and then looked at the assignment and all that kind of stuff. But I neglected to mention something that I'll just show you here in Unit 4. Um, and so I've moved a couple of things around here. Oh, darn it. Okay, so what if our meeting time allows for it, sometimes I'll actually go through this PowerPoint in class. It's the closest thing to like a lecture I think I would ever want to come. But I think we had much more useful discussion and also time for some hands-on stuff on the computers just to get the ball rolling as far as the final project goes. So we didn't look at this, and I didn't even mention it. That's the part I want to remind you of. So the nice part about, I think, the hybrid environment is if there are indeed things that you don't want to eat class time up with, that you prefer students to have access kind of outside of class, the Blackboard space is really great for that. Again, not that the online piece should really just be all the static kind of read me only documents kind of thing. But if you forget something in class, like I totally did, this is a nice way of being able to catch people up without having to jam it into your next class meeting, which is probably already full, like ours is, with other stuff. So it's a narrated PowerPoint. And the other benefit of this is that I like narrated PowerPoints, and I was going to sort of talk about how to do those, or at least one method to do those. So I'm not sure I can do this in real time. Maybe I can, because I don't feel like starting this again. You'll probably notice that when you click into our unit, it's going to look a little bit different. Yeah, there we go. So I've moved this content item so it's a little bit further up so you can find it, but you'll see that unlike the view we just had, it doesn't show the actual PowerPoint. It shows the text and then a link to the PowerPoint, but you know how much I love having my stuff show up right in Blackboard. So I use a service called AuthorStream, which is really good, or at least it used to be really good, for you could load in a PowerPoint, like one that you built in PowerPoint, and that using PowerPoint itself, you can add audio to different slides. So what you might say in class, you can sort of capture a little bit, at least in smaller form, and embed right in the PowerPoint. The audio is not that great, I think because they like to keep the file size kind of manageable so they don't have really pristine audio, which you'll discover if you take a look at the PowerPoint here. But AuthorStream was really great because you could take your existing PowerPoint, use PowerPoint to add audio to it, and then upload it or contain it in AuthorStream, a little bit like you might take a video and then upload that to YouTube, and then from AuthorStream actually embed that material right into Blackboard. And it all worked really great until browsers, Firefox, Internet Explorer, Safari, Chrome, all the rest of them, got much more protective about secure spaces like Blackboard is. So if you've ever looked at our bb.cod.edu web address, you'll notice that it begins not with the usual HTTP, but HTTPS. The S stands for security. I mean, it might not actually stand for security, but that's what it makes me think of. So basically, it's sort of like a secure environment where everything coming into the website or being displayed is coming from a secure source. That's why I think security. And Blackboard has deemed that anything coming from AuthorStream is not secure content, which means that, unlike the view we just saw, the actual PowerPoint doesn't show up. So yeah, you can still get to it, you can link to it, but again, not my favorite. So I use Firefox, and there's a way that you can have unsecure content, if you want to call it that, show up in your browser. And I've actually built a browser help little item here that'll show you how this might work across a number of different browsers, not just Firefox. But I'll show you here. I can't show you on my screen because the capture window is too small. But there's a little kind of lock icon up by the URL up at the top of the screen. And so right now it says secure connection, everything's good, blah, blah, blah. Well, because I'm just that way, I want to disable the protection for now. So everyone comes to the party. You don't need a ticket. Put it wherever you want. Okay, so now I like it because the PowerPoint shows up right there. It's clearly not unsecure content, but unfortunately, unless you upgrade and pay for a subscription to the AuthorStream service, if you just use the freebie, they don't encrypt it in a way that, you know, it'll be safe to use in Blackboard. Anyway, that's kind of an aside, actually. But if you're wondering how to do like the embedded narrated PowerPoint, this is a good way. Okay, so you could watch it just by pressing the play button. So notice that it doesn't play like a movie, though, which is the difference, I think, between this and if you were just to create a movie version that students would watch of the slides. So they can move through the slides at their own pace. They can move backwards just like they would navigate an actual slideshow. They can make it full screen so they can watch it, you know, in a little bit more user-friendly environment. And then you'll notice that on any of the slides that have this audio icon, I could click that and the audio will play. It'll be really annoying if I do it now because it'll like play but also go into the mic that I'm talking with. But you can investigate this. So the slideshow is sort of, I mean, it's my thoughts about questions of design or redesign. You'll notice that most of the slides are pretty bare. The way that I use slides is really not to present a lot of information to students, but to prompt myself in class to remember what I want to say. So I would really, you know, think twice about trying to prep a bunch of so-called lecture PowerPoints, especially given the discipline that I teach in, and then think that that captures everything that I want to say, and then say, oh, well, I don't have to do the lecture in class, or I don't have to talk with students in class because the PowerPoint's online. I know one fear that people have is, well, if I do the PowerPoint online, then students won't come to class. I mean, most of us know that what you deliver as part of that PowerPoint is hopefully not just you reading the slides, right? There's more to it than that. So a good slideshow is generally not necessarily visually intensive, but it's text poor. It doesn't have a lot of stuff that students would write down. It's more food for thought in class, little reminders for you, almost like an outline that you follow visually with everybody else. So I invite you to check it out. Again, not because I think it contains any really, really profound things about hybrid course design, like focus on integration. That's not really a new one for us, right? Build time for orientation throughout. Also not a new one for us. Good reminder, but not really new, you know, like a new concept. Probably, your mind is probably not blown right now. I can't say for sure, but probably not. But this is an interesting way for you to experience what having a slideshow embedded in PowerPoint might look, or embedded in Blackboard might look like with these audio annotations. So again, if this is something that you want to know more about as a technology, we could talk about it in our next meeting. And of course, if there's any little kind of prompts here that you have some thoughts about, or you're not sure about, or you already do and have a really great like strategy for putting into practice, that would be great. So in fact, we might begin our next meeting with a look backwards to, well, what I forgot in our Tuesday meeting about these embedded PowerPoints, embedded narrated PowerPoints. There's another tool called Slide Share, I think. There's probably a whole bunch, as a matter of fact, but that allow you to embed slideshows in like an LMS, like Blackboard. The one drawback, unless they've changed since the last time I investigated, is that they don't allow you to embed PowerPoints that you've added audio annotation to. So that is why I've always loved AuthorStream, even though now because of the security feature, they don't show up as nicely as I'd like them to. So I've just clicked you through the whole thing. Let's finish it up. Course should not be static. Students should understand the fluidity of a good hybrid online course. Well, if that doesn't say it all, I don't know what does. All right, so thanks for your patience for this slightly longer announcement, but I thought I would draw your attention to some new or moved material in Unit 4, something we didn't have a chance to talk about in class, and also potentially really good food for discussion for our next class meeting. All right, so I'll talk to everybody soon, and good luck with Unit 4 and as you begin your final project thinking.